now we're moving on to Metro Exodus, which Leigh and I have played. It seems like we played up till the same point. We'll try to keep the spoilers light, but we're in the second large region, the desert area, and this is something. So I was pretty excited about this game. I replayed the first two Metro games, Metro 2033 and Last Light, to kind of like refresh myself on the story and everything like that. Because that's what kind of like what this series was about, was like it told a pretty good story while also being a video game, which is something that games can sometimes struggle with, especially first-person shooters. And it's the story about the nuclear apocalypse basically, and this group of like 100,000 people or something like that flee to the metro tunnels underneath Moscow, and that's where they survive basically the nuclear war. And then like years later they start to kind of like rebuild and come back to the surface, and they find all these weird monsters, and there's these weird like otherworldly beings that start showing up. And the first two games are kind of about your character Artyom learning to figure out how he can communicate with these beings, and also him trying to navigate through the political situation going on in the metro, because it's humans, so you'll have factions forming, and like there's like Soviet communist factions, there's a Nazi faction, there's all sorts of different factions that kind of crop up underneath the city as they underneath in the tunnels as they try to rebuild and stuff like that. And this one is about them leaving the tunnels. Early on, you get on a train and you start chugging out into the world, as it were. And I was looking forward to it because it sounded cool, like these smaller kind of open world environments that you can explore and do some of the survival mechanics that this series has been known for. Like you have to have a gas mask on to protect yourself from the radiation, and like you got to change filters, you got to make sure it's clean, you got to wipe it with your hand and repair it and stuff like that. And like ammo was always in short supply. I think it nails some of that stuff, Exodus does, but I think it falls pretty short in terms of storytelling and just kind of like, I guess it's storytelling. I guess that's really where it falls apart, and all the things associated with that, like characterization and voice acting and writing in general. It seems like they had this cool idea of these open areas and mixing in the survival mechanics, and then they had to tie some story around it because it was a Metro game and that's what people are expecting. And the result is a lot of like retconning so much of what the previous stories were, and like just making up weird excuses for them to be out doing what they're doing, and like character motivations are very strange, and Captain Miller's a dumbass. I don't like over and over and over again, and he was totally not that in the previous games. Like,
No.
you could, if you told me that these were two completely different characters, I would believe you, because the Captain Miller from the previous games is not this Captain Miller that you're seeing here. And I just don't understand where that all fell apart. And like the weird, sometimes endearing, other times just kind of strange relationship you have with your wife, where she just kind of stares at you with a dead smile, and that's pretty much it. Like that's pretty much the entire character there. She just keeps getting trapped in caves and shit, and you have to go save her. And then she's like, "Oh, thank you, Artyom. Oh, I love you." And then she'll just go and get herself fucked over again. Yeah. What do you think, Leigh? What's your take?
How long you got? It's the core of it, the idea that I take it away from the tunnels, which is very linear, very survival horror-y linear thing, and take it open is quite nice. Stitch it together. Not so much. It's I mean, it's kind of in the middle between kind of a high indie and a AAA, so it's not like got the biggest budget in the world, but it's got a sufficient enough budget. It's a relatively well-made game with enough miscalculations and errors in the story to make it very, very funny.
Yeah.
You're on the train, and I can't spoil too much, but you'll get on this train after this really bizarre, long, about hour-long tutorial where you get knocked out multiple times.
Yeah.
And do all the stupid things and get shot so many times, it's unbelievable. But anyway, that happens. And you get onto this train which is traveling through.
If you're picking up this game, just try to get through that tutorial. If you can get through that tutorial, it does get better. That tutorial is awful, and it's shocking. also where some of all of these like dialogue issues and story stuff really start to, like, if you can get past the tutorial and you can get past the garbage stuff at the beginning, you can probably get past the rest of it, because the dialogue anyway.
But then you get on the train, and then it's even worse.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you can get past that initial, oh my god, these people are dumb, and this whole story is ridiculous. If you can get past that, there is fun to be had. I don't know how much fun, but yeah, go ahead.
The train's essentially a hub, isn't it? Where you kind of have your map guidance taking you off to certain places. And within it, you get to fill out your part of the story, because obviously you don't get to go to the hub cities under the world anymore. You have to do all that in the space of 2 cabins on the train. Mm-hmm. And you're talking to your people, and then you'll kind of have your little bit of dialogue telling you where you go to next. And they say, go and talk to some people before you leave. So you do, kind of, and you go and you think, I'll just have a quick word with him. Maybe I'll get an achievement out of this. So you go out to the front of the train and you start talking with about 3 or 4 people. Yeah. And have a comrade for about 2-3 minutes. Yeah. And I'm standing there and I'm kind of watching. They're boring, generally boring conversation. And I'm watching eventually the same building go past, because it's like a Scooby-Doo background, and you keep seeing the same building go past.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, you finished talking, I'm going to go.
Train
and after a pause, they start talking again.
The train stationary, and they got the background going around on a track.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they keep you talking. They're talking for 10 minutes, and they stop. You know, I can go now, and then they start talking again about, I don't know. And they say, right, 10 minutes, I'm done. Right, let's go and talk to the train driver. And the train driver tells us quite a moving story about his wife, you know, from before the war, and how she, you know, he was a sad man when because he was he was a locomotive driver that went around the city, and he was sad because he didn't get to travel the land. And kind of see Russia. He was just going on a perpetual circle, and it's like, oh, I wish you could see me now, because I'm traveling, you know, I'm now going forward instead of going in circles, and I'm watching the same fucking building go across in the background. I'm like, hang on a minute, mate. What's going on there? Yeah. It's like the same building. It's like, at least I'm seeing the sights and not going around in a perpetual circle, and it's like, the same fucking building. Yeah. So there's that going on. And then you talk to Captain Miller, who's angry because you've done something that says, I should kill you for this. And then like it's like he realizes it's not as bad as thought. He's like, oh great, here, have a drink. By the way,
over and over again. It's just like, I can't believe you did that,
you went off and did your own thing. You often did your own thing. You got us into a lot of trouble. And then you get to the land, and then everybody says, "Should we go with him, sir?" He said, "No, he can go on his own. That's fine." And then he sends you out on your own anyway, which is the thing he was going to kill you for originally in the first place.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange. Or there will be things like inconsistency with graphics. There's a guy you're talking to. It's like, and they have this weird conversation about this guy, and he's tired, and he says, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'm going to go to sleep now. You carry on." And he goes to sleep, but it's like that. Because he's like the facial animations are the same. So he's supposed to be sleeping in the corner snoring, but his eyes are like that. I'm like, good night, sweet prince.
Yeah.
Very strange. Everything's just not quite polished enough. The dialogue is awful, quite frankly. Motivations are terrible. As I say, he doesn't let you go off doing your own thing, but then he sends you out on your own in a mission.
Yeah.
Or with your wife in a mission, which is the thing he just bollocked you for.
Right.
And
which also
very strange.
Wife also happens to be his daughter.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
So there's this whole weird, like, that's your father-in-law. This Captain Miller that is just the biggest dumbass is also your father-in-law, and that was kind of a weird. That was probably the weirdest part of Metro Last Light too. Was the relationship between you and who's now your wife, Anna, who starts off that game as like a hotshot sniper in the order, which is like the special forces of the Metro and stuff like that. And then it just gets even weirder, them trying to have, like, I can see them trying, like, they're trying really hard to make, like, this relationship between you and your wife meaningful. And there's a scene where when you're going to the second open area, you're having a conversation with her about I don't even remember what, because it doesn't friggin' matter, but she lays your head down on your lap, and you can press a button and like comfort her and stuff like that. But like, it's just like the dialogue, the voice acting is so bad, the dialogue is really bad, and it just doesn't work at all because it doesn't. None of it feels authentic. None of it feels real. And then that's when that moment comes up when I was mentioning before, where eventually it's like, okay, time to play the game. So you get up, and she just sits there on the bed with her eyes wide open, like the characters don't blink. And she's just like staring with her half smile face, like at nothing. Like she's staring at the wall, and you could walk past that room like 3 times, and the door's open, and just see her sitting there staring, and she's not doing anything. Like, why doesn't she get up and walk to some other part of the train? Because she's actually alive and doing something, but no, she just sits there and stares. And like you're supposed to go up to, some of these conversations that people are having, listen to them talk about this and that, and like the woman you pick up in the first area, her husband died, and she tells a story about that. And then as soon as she's done telling a story about that, she goes into another story about something else. Just like Leigh was saying, like the dialogue just never stops. And I don't get it, because that was not a problem in the previous 2 games. Every character had their thing to say, and then when they were done talking about it, and you were able to move on. But they just keep talking and talking and talking, and I like you said, Leigh, you're expecting an achievement to pop up, but you don't know when it's going to pop up, because apparently everybody just keeps talking and talking and talking. It never stops.
With enough gaps to make you walk away because you think they're finished,
right?
And then they're off in the background because they've got not very good surround sounds. So you look away from them slightly, and you can't hear what they're saying all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So when you can hear, oh, they're talking again. I have to go back and listen to his story about something.
Yeah. about something
Oh,
is about what it boils
yeah,
down to.
something.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely the biggest disappointment for me was that because like I said, the story was such a big draw of those other games. Um, to have it just it really is just bad.
Mm.
There's no like way around it. It's delivered poorly. It's written poorly. Um, the English voice
Is
acting
it?
is atrocious. Um,
And they keep talking over each other, but the balance of the surround is bad. So it's just a mess of voices at you at some
yeah,
points.
there's
Oh,
sound issues in the main game too when you're out there fighting. Like when those shrimp things are spitting acid at you, you can't even hear them. Did you notice that? Like
yeah,
all of a sudden I'm
yeah.
just walking around and I get hit by something. I'm like, what the hell is hitting me? And I turn around and there's these weird creatures coming out of the water shooting stuff at me. And like there's no sound effect for it. Or if it is, it's so low and so muffled that there's no way you could have known that it was there. Um
Yeah.
that
Which is a
being
bad
said,
form for a game which is technically horror. You need to know when the monsters are going to come creep up on you, give you a
right,
sneak
because
attack.
it's so punishing. Like if you're playing on the higher difficulties, this game's no joke. It'll
Mm,
kick your ass. Which
mm,
kind of is where I lead into like what I do like about this game, and that's when you're out there exploring the open spaces and
mm.
just finding what's out there because there's cool stuff out there to find, and the feeling you get when you get to a new safe house and you know you're safe in there, um, and you know navigating around enemy encounters because you know you don't have a ton of ammo. Um,
Mm.
you scrounge like parts and chemicals in order to craft ammo, but you can only craft ammo at workbenches that are in the safe houses. So like if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're low on ammo, you're gonna have to figure out uh some other way to deal with the enemies. Like you can craft ammo only for your little um air gun,
Mm.
your ball bearing shooting gun, which in the previous games was a really good weapon, and in this game it sucks. It's like
Mm.
that was like
Mm.
one of my main weapons in the previous games. It would be like it was super accurate, it was super powerful. It would be able to rip through armor and stuff like that. And in this
Mm.
game, if you're not getting headshots, you're have to pump a guy through like with 5 6 pellets before they go down. Um,
Mm.
so that was a little disappointing. And you have to have it.
Mm.
It's a gun that's permanently in your inventory. You can't replace
Yeah.
it with anything. Um, but yeah, outside of that gun, the other weapons are pretty cool. Like um, customizing your like AK-47 or
Mm.
your shotguns and stuff like that. Like you get all sorts of
Mm.
like scopes and extended magazines and stocks that improve accuracy and stuff like that. That's all pretty
Mm.
cool. Um, you get like I found some upgrades where like you can upgrade your the watch thing on your wrist. And you get to choose. Like you can't have everything at once. So I just picked up this thing that's supposed to um, detect enemy movement in my vicinity.
Oh, yeah.
So now I got to choose between having that on or the compass, which points me in the
Mm.
direction of my next objective. So like if you get to a stealthy part of the game where you need a little bit more awareness, you can swap it out for the motion sensing thing. And then when you're
Mm.
out in the world and you need to get to your objective, you can swap it out for the compass. So
Mm.
there's some cool stuff like that. Um,
Mm.
and I think the shooting feels pretty good. It's a very slow game. Like I've got
Mm.
the sensitivity turned all the way up, and I still feel like it's a little slow. But I think that's
Yeah.
deliberate. Like, um, like Lee was saying, it does have survival horror elements to it. So they're trying to make you feel a little bit vulnerable. They don't want you to be this like, you're not going to be the Doom Marine, basically.
No.
Running around, jumping from target to target. You're going to have to pick your battles. You're going to have to stand your ground, and you're going to have to hope that you have enough firepower to fend off whatever's coming at you. Which is usually either like a four-legged dog monster or a ghoul, because that's pretty much all I've seen so far.
Yeah, pretty much. The things with like the iguana eyes on the side of their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that first area was pretty cool. I enjoyed exploring that. And this new desert area seems bigger, but there seems to be less in it because it's mostly desert.
Yeah. It's interesting to go around though. It's because for all that we say about like the character models and stuff like that, the one thing you can't put on is environment. Very intricately, interestingly detailed. It's very kind of, you can almost see like the story within some of the environments of how things have played out and gone wrong. And it's like, it's very well, it's nice to go around.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice to just, even though it's still creepy and tense, it's very tangible in its environments. Whereas like it may be that some of the characters don't look great. You can't, I don't think I've seen anything I've seen in the world that think that looks awful.
Yeah, no, the world
I feel
looks
like that's
good.
where they put the most work in.
Even the monsters look good. The monsters look better than the human characters, that's for sure. And the lighting is really, really good in this game. Like the way the way the game looks, like when the sun is setting versus rising, and like during the day, like night is really dark. And of course you have your flashlight and you also have night vision, but like the flashlight has a really cool, like it looks like you'd want a flashlight to look like in the dark, where you got your little spot of light in the middle of the screen, and everything else is, like it tapers off, so there could be something just right on the corner of that, and it could be getting ready to jump out and attack you, but you don't know. And it was super effective in like the dark tunnels in the previous games, and it's pretty good here too. It does lose a little bit because you're in these bigger open areas, so there's the claustrophobia that original games had, but there are like missions that take you into more claustrophobic areas, like that. Lee, you must have done the one with the where you had to get the rail car, and you had the big fish thing attacking you the whole time. What did you think of that? Did you think that was a good sequence or not? Like the whole thing, the whole sequence.
Well, the whole boat thing.
Yeah, where you take the boat into the terminal, and then there are the ghouls, and it's all dark and.
Okay, sometimes that sort of thing kind of, I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends. There's something not quite jiving about kind of connecting with it. It looks fine. It looks fine. It probably looked like, I don't know. I didn't really find it played that well, to be honest with you. Did you?
That sequence or the whole game?
That sequence.
Okay. Like what part didn't play well? The whole thing?
I don't know. It just felt a little. Well, what are you getting at? I mean, what are you getting at? What did you have?
No, I'm just asking you.
What did you think about it?
I thought.
It was okay. I don't know, that sort of thing. Those kind of. I don't know. I thought it was fine. I guess.
Because it was a big step away from what you'd been in this big open world, and then all of a sudden you're in kind of like enclosed area. It's dark like the previous game, so it's a little bit of a throwback to that.
Throwback?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's what I got from it. But
yeah, but
I think like atmospheric wise, it was very good. Like it was very dark, and you had to have you had to keep charging your light or your night vision, whatever you had at that point. And ammo was limited. The only problem I had with it was, you were attacking the ghoul creatures, and you'd be able to see them like on a platform that you were going to be at later on, and you could shoot them and you'd take them out and you'd be like, cool, now I don't have to worry about them. But they would constantly respawn. A new one would crawl through the window. Like you'd take it out, and then like, a few seconds later another one would crawl through the window to kind of like force you to deal with it in the way that the game intended you to, which is kind of strange because you can clearly see them standing over there. Like, why wouldn't you take that shot if you could? Yeah, it was just that was a weird thing when I started noticing that.
Like it's triggering sort of like a set piece, despite the fact it's not a set piece. It's still
like it was a set piece, but like they forgot to put the wall up that was like covered up your view of where you're going to be in the future. And I don't know. It was a strange thing because like I kept doing it. I shot the thing, and then a few seconds later another one would crawl through the window, and it wasn't like they would keep coming. It would just be replacing that one that I just killed. So for you to trigger later. It was just I that was the only disappointing thing with that sequence. Otherwise, I thought it was pretty good. It was very tense, like because it was
good
so
as
dark.
a kind of a fan service thing, so you don't kind of stray too far, completely away from the original style.
Yeah,
I guess. It's very much kind of we'll add this in. Whether they'll keep doing that, I don't know, because that would get boring if you do 2 or 3 areas like that, and then they shove you down the alley because this is what people like from the original. Because I understand it's been pretty divisive from the people that like the corridors. They like going down the tunnels. And getting on the.
I would imagine because it is a big departure, and I mean, like when you're out in that open world, there are some cool things that go on. Like I came across this building that I couldn't get into, and I had to solve this puzzle with powering up a generator and then flipping these switches in the right way in order to get to the room with all the cool shit in it. And I haven't encountered anything quite like that in the second area yet, but I'm hoping that the more I play, the more I find these kinds of like little bespoke puzzles out in the world that aren't like mission critical. Like the mission doesn't tell you to go here, but if you explore a little bit and you check them out,
it'll treat you.
You'll get a little bit of a puzzle or something like that to solve. Because that's what I was envisioning when I was hearing about like the way that the game was going to be structured, is like these smaller open areas that are crafted a little bit more, handcrafted a little bit more than just like a big gigantic open world where they just throw caves and enemy bases and whatever just all willy-nilly throughout the area.
So as a fan of the series, because you are a fan of the series, are you happy with the way they've so far, the way they've changed the direction to some extent? I don't think they could have done tunnels 3 times in a row.
No, they couldn't have done another one in the original format. But yes and no. Like I think they totally fucked up with the story, and the characters and motivations and like the little bit like the thread connecting all of this stuff together just seems like it wouldn't take much to make an excuse to go out into the world, right? But they keep making all of these excuses as to why they never did it before. And like, all you really need to say is, well, because everybody thought it was a nuclear wasteland, right? Like, that's all you need to say in order to get somebody to stop, like, not take a train out into, you know, irradiated Russian wilderness is like, yeah, actually, it's a whole bunch of nuclear bombs sit there, and you're gonna die in 2 seconds if you go out there. Okay. But then they go off the rails, in terms of like trying to figure out how to, you know, like there's always got to be some sort of like some sort of subplot, like some sort of secret motivations going on or something like that, and it's like it just didn't come together that well.
I don't know if it's an oversimplification of the books because they're based on novels, aren't they? Russian novels.
Yeah, but I don't know how much they've deviated from that at this point. I really don't know. Like I don't know. It feels like if I had to take a guess, I would say that the novels did not, like, Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light were heavily based on novels, and Metro Exodus is not because of how terrible that story is. in comparison to what happened in the previous games. But on the other hand, I do like being out in the world and exploring it and having fun there. I still got to go back and check out this new desert area, and really get into that. It's not off the bat, it's not quite as interesting as the first area, but I'm hoping something happens later on that makes it a little bit more interesting to me.
Yeah.
So where are you standing currently, Lee?
I am standing at a lift, kind of boat lift thing that a woman sends up, but then glitches out and doesn't send back down, so you can't actually progress with the game.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a patch to get that one out. Apparently, it's you either get it or you don't.
Oh.
And I haven't. It's actually a problem I had, kind of, and you just have to restart everything. With the second one, where I got completely stuck because something screwed me over that was just a one-off random thing. And I ended up just giving up on the game for about 6 months. So it's kind of a running theme with me with Metro games, where I'll get completely screwed over by something that randomly happened in the game.
So
I think the second one, I'd run out of my valve just after I'd hit a checkpoint, and I was in a perpetual loop of suffocating. And I hadn't done a manual save.
Yeah.
So I literally had to start. I had to start again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about my save glitch. So early on in Exodus, in the first area where I was exploring around, and all of a sudden I completely lost the ability to save because there's like a quick save. There isn't like a log of saves that you can do or anything like that. You can quick save, and then there's checkpoints that it does automatically. And all of a sudden, I just lost the ability to save, and the game stopped checkpointing. And before I knew it, like it says on the menu how long it's been since your last save, it's like 45 minutes since the last checkpoint, 50 minutes since the last checkpoint, an hour and 5 minutes since the last checkpoint.
Oh, jeez.
and then I died. Oh no, that was it froze. It froze on that. It's frozen for me twice on the pause menu. Like I just press pause and I go do something and I come back and it's frozen. And that's what happened. I paused it and it locked up and it froze, and I had to close it out, and I lost like an hour of progress. Come to find out, it was this one event that happens out in the world. There's like these so in the first area you come across this anti-technology cult that's like
Yeah.
yeah, that they like their religion is all based around, the technology is the devil, etc., etc. um
Mm.
and you come across some of them out in the wild, and they've set up this like ritual area, and an event happens, an event gets triggered, it's all scripted and stuff like that. And what I found out is every time I went to that, like, the game had checkpointed right before that event, and then naturally every time I reloaded, I went right to that event first, because I was like, well, I fucking died again, so now I gotta do all of my ritual again, where I go over to this, then I go over to the save spot, then I go over here, then I go over there. Um,
Mm.
and it turned out it was something about that event that broke the save system, because if I avoided it completely, it was fine. Like, I completely avoided it, and I never had an issue with saves again. Um, so there's some sort of bug going on with that particular event that breaks the save system, and I've seen posts about it on in other locations, so other people are having it too. Um,
Yeah.
so PSA, avoid those people in the first area, if you can.
Mm. You're playing at Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Or PC? Have you tried it on the X yet? Because it's optimized for the X, apparently. It's like
Yeah.
designed specifically around the X.
Yeah, it looks really good and it plays really good.
Yeah, it's running right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't run as well as I heard it runs. There are definitely frame rate dips and stuff like that more frequently than I thought they were going to be. But it looks really good, and generally speaking, it's a pretty solid version of that game, except for the glitches here and there, which seem to be plaguing all of the versions, not just the Xbox version.
Yeah. I don't know if they've rolled out patches yet for it.
I haven't noticed anything. I've been checking to see. It, like you were saying before, it's a low budget game. I don't think it's a very big team, so I think things like that are going to take a while to roll out. They have been hot fixing on PC, but they don't have to go through certification there. That's what holds up a lot of things. Patches on Xbox and PlayStation is they have to be certified by Sony and Microsoft before they can be rolled out. So either way, it's going to be like at least a few days after PC gets patched, because PC, there's no red tape there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope they put out some patches, because it could use some work. That's for sure.